if it worked for me. The key with that, and then it turned to business. At that time I was building homes and custom furniture. And so anytime a client would ask me to do something for free, I'd freak out. I'd say yes. And what really freaked me out back then, I was younger. Any older man I saw as my father. See, I couldn't say no to my father. And so they were complete, like, that was danger zone for me. So during that same week, I had a client come to me and he wanted to upgrade to granite countertops. And we're talking about the pricing. And he just said, why don't you just give me the subcontractor's information and I'll get in touch with them directly. And I paused and I started to shake. And I'm like, Kenny, just step into this. And I said, Jim, I appreciate you asking, but that doesn't work for me. The way I would make my living is I surround myself with quality people. And I'll give you an option. If you want to hire your own subcontractors and do it yourself, you're more than welcome to it. But as you know, in my contract, if you do that and there are delays in the process by using your own people, acting as your own general contractor, that there are penalties for that, financial repercussions if it takes us off schedule. So it's up to you, but I'm not willing to give you my contractor's information and that's how I make my living. He backed off and he said, okay, we'll use your guy. You want to talk about empowering. The key is remember how I said we always give things away because, see, I used to give things to free to all of my clients because I wanted them to like me. I wanted the referral. It was a massive manipulation. We do this all the time in business and sales. We spend all this time and effort and then we go, geez, they didn't even buy from me. We were manipulating them. We weren't doing it genuinely. That's how powerful no is. It's the most loving thing you can ever say to anyone, whether it's in business or in a relationship, because they know exactly where you stand. Thank you, Isabel. I appreciate the compliment. Laura, thanks for tuning in. Robin, Janice, Blossom, all of you, thanks for watching. If you have any questions, by all means, send it, because I'm just rambling here. My guest, we had a problem with getting hooked up, so I just grabbed a topic out of thin air. I'm talking about stress and fear and buzzwords, how people in this industry use them and don't give you the concrete information to help you change things in your life. So right now I'm talking about powerlessness and the power of saying no and how authentic that is for both of us. So if you guys want me to talk about anything else, just type in a suggestion and I'll do it. So the key to saying no is walking in who you are. And the only way you can do that is knowing what your morals and values are, knowing what your needs and wants are. So you have to sit down with that first. Once you have that, then when a request comes in, you can put it up against that list and go, does this work for me or work against me? And that can vary. There'll be times where, if I was dating somebody, they'd go, hey, you want to go to the movies? Yeah, sounds great. The next day, nah, sounds awful. I don't really want to go. Why don't you ask Judy or somebody else? That's loving because I'm not giving myself away. All right. That's what happens. That's where powerlessness comes from. We give ourselves away. We don't walk in our authentic selves, and usually because of a lack of self-esteem, which is the first fear. Remember, rejection. We fear rejection, so we give ourselves away. We try to become something so that they don't reject us, and then we get angry and resentful at them when they don't give us something back, or we feel awful when they rejected us, but yet we didn't walk in who we were. You see this all the time in marriages. Like there's so many jokes about the second the wedding happens and the honeymoon starts, all of a sudden they're like, who's this person? This isn't even the person I met and fell in love with. All of a sudden, they leave their clothes all around the floor. They don't listen to me. All these things that they did out of fear of rejection, they stop doing. They start walking in their authentic selves. They start saying no. And that's the damage of saying yes and working from a place of a lack of self-esteem is eventually we can only carry on that process so long and it drops. And what we really think and believe comes up. And that's where the discord comes in marriages, is people weren't walking in their self-esteem. They weren't saying no. and then they start to walk in themselves. They start to say no, and now the other person's going, who the hell is this? I don't even know this person. If I'd known this about you, I'd have never married you. And so we set up our own powerlessness. That's the thing about powerlessness, that almost always we set it up. And we usually set it up through a lack of self-esteem by not walking in who we are. All right? So here's the key with stress. Remember, stress is always fear. In any situation, if you ever feel stress, ask yourself 3 questions. Do I fear rejection, inadequacy, or powerlessness? Is it one or all 3 of them? If it's rejection, I need to go work on my self-esteem. I'm expecting somebody else to meet my needs and wants and make me feel better about myself. That's not their job. It's mine. I need to go address that. That handles your fear around rejection. If it's inadequacy, that's the skills, tools, and knowledge. So if I feel like I'm inadequate in some area, I need to go either become an expert or hire an expert to give me the skills, tools, and information I'm lacking so that I'm no longer stressed and afraid. All right? If I feel powerless, primarily that's because I'm giving myself away. I'm saying yes to things I want to say no to. And I'm also not trusting the process of life. I'm trying to control everyone and everything. And the more I try and control it, the worse I make it. Okay? So now I want to dip into one other thing that's stress related. Anger. Because anger is the usual response from stress or fear. Well, anger in any form and at any time for any reason is just a mask for fear. That's it. If you're angry or if someone's angry at you, I'll do it from that perspective first. If anyone's ever angry at you, I want you to ignore everything they're saying. The words don't matter. None of it matters. None of it. I'm serious. None of it matters. As they're screaming at you, I want you to ask yourself this. Where do they feel rejected, inadequate, and powerless? Because no matter what their words are saying, this is what they're literally screaming at you. Please, please don't find out how inadequate and powerless I feel right now, and by God, don't you dare reject me. That's what they're saying to you, okay? So picture a 6-year-old huddled up in the corner, screaming that at you. Please don't see how inadequate and powerless I feel right now, and don't reject me. Would you yell back at a 6-year-old? No. Your heart would break for them. You'd ask them, what's going on? You sound really angry. Are you okay? Now, as you listen to their words and their accusations and their threats and all their vitriol at you, listen. Are they feeling rejected, inadequate, or powerless? If there's a rejection thing, ask for more information. Don't defend yourself. You have nothing to defend. Unless, here's how you listen to somebody who's angry. Let me see if I can make up an example. All right, pretend I was married. And I come home tonight. And my wife goes, yesterday, when you walked in the house and you just kicked your shoes off and you threw your suit jacket on the couch and then you went into the kitchen, you got something to eat and you left a mess everywhere and you left the dishes in the sink. You're so selfish. You're so uncaring. You don't respect me at all. You think I have to take care of you. Okay? That's kind of how fights go, right? Here's how I would respond. First of all, I separate out fact from emotion. Is it a fact that yesterday I came home, kicked my shoes off, threw my suit jacket, ate and made a mess and did all those things? Yep, I did that. So the first thing I would do is go, you know what, you're right. That's exactly what I did yesterday. It sounds like to me you're having a lot of feelings about that. You want to tell me more? Here's the thing I separate is any of the emotional accusations, those aren't about me. Those are about themselves. That's the beauty of anger. When they use the emotional slanderous words, you have just found out how they feel about themselves. They're projecting those feelings onto you, okay? And that's why it's easy not to get angry at them, because they're telling you about themselves. Now, you always want to listen for the part you have to own. All right? Yes, I did all those things. Was I being selfish? Let me think about it. No, I was busy. I was in a hurry because I had to run up and do my podcast. And so I didn't think through it. And I was thinking, actually, what I was thinking is, I'll get back to it later. But see, she thought it is me disparaging her. See, she projected that onto herself. I didn't do it. She didn't ask me for more information. So she made up what the emotions of it meant. And so if I were in an argument with somebody like that, my response would be, yeah, that's exactly what I did. Sounds like you're having some feelings about it. Would you like to talk more about it, or would you like some more information? I don't want any more information. You're just a selfish blank, blank, blank. Sounds like you're really struggling. Now, depending on where I was emotionally, if I was in a great place, it wouldn't even bug me, whatever they called me. I'd let them vent. But if I'd had a tough day, I go, I'm hearing you're really upset. I want to honor that, but right now I'm in a bad place. I can't hear you without making it about me. So I'm going to have to call a timeout. And I'm happy to have this discussion when I'm in a better place. But I'm not in a good place right now, so I can't really be present for you and be in this relationship in the way you need me. So I need to take a timeout. In other words, I wouldn't then project my own frustrations, angers, lack of self-esteem, inadequacy, and powerlessness back on them. I just take a break because I realize anything out of their mouth is about them, not me. But if I'm in a place where I want to react to it, that tells me I'm feeling those same feelings. I need to go fix me first. And so that's why I'd ask for a break. So whenever you're in an argument, couple key things. Again, remember all they're screaming at you is about themselves. They feel either rejected, inadequate, or powerless. Own, look for the truth in what they're yelling at you. Own it. Okay, yep, that's what I did. If something doesn't match what's called your reality, in other words, what if I told you this was Coke? You're like, that's crazy, it's water. Oh, no, it's not. This is Coke. Would you like a sip? It's really sweet. You've never had this before? And people, what do you mean? That's a cup of water. No, it's not. See, you can't argue realities. I see Coke. You see water. You can't argue that. So if your reality is, I didn't come in and kick my shoes off, why argue it? It's a waste of time. I can never convince you. You can never convince me. All right? So when you listen to an argument, listen for fact. If it matches your reality, you own it. If it doesn't match your reality, ask for information. Wow, Kenny, you really think that's Coke? Tell me more about that. That's fascinating to me that you think that's Coke because all I see is water. Okay, so you don't have to argue about it. It's just two people see the world differently. There's no solution to that. So in an argument, separate fact. I just showed you how to do that from emotion. The second they get into emotion, look, is it possible there's some truth to one of those emotional slanderous words? Maybe I was feeling selfish yesterday when I kicked things off, when I threw everything around. If it's true, own it. Yep, you're right. I was selfish. It wasn't that I wanted you to do it for me. I just didn't want to deal with it. I can see that it impacted you. That's not my intent. I'll see. I don't guarantee it, but I tell people, I'll see if in the future I can do a better job of that because I can see how much it impacts you. Now, if there isn't any reality to the emotional content for you, then what you're hearing is them describe the inadequacies in themselves. So really, it's a wonderful moment. They're sharing their brokenness with you. They're being completely open and vulnerable and intimate. Where's the problem? This person is exposing how absolutely they hurt inside, and they want you to know it. So why would I respond back with anger or defend anything? I wouldn't. Now, if I'm in a bad place, I ask for a break so I don't dump my own imperfections on them. But if I'm in a great place, I don't defend myself. I ask for more information. I ask about those feelings. I let them dump them because really what they're asking for is support. When someone's angry at you, they just want your love. They want you to hear them. So recognize that. When you feel stressed,